Today we're joined by Alison McCormack, CEO of Bicycle Network Victoria. Bicycle Network plays a major role in shaping how Victorians ride. From iconic events like the Great Vic Bike Ride to programs that help adults regain confidence on a bike, get kids riding safely to school, and support more people to ride to work. Today we'll look back at the 2025 Great Vic Bike Ride and what's ahead for 2026. Explore how initiatives like Back on Your Bike, Ride to School and Ride to Work are making a real difference. Get an update on the Veloway and Victoria's e-bike strategy and find out what's happening on March 3rd for the Bike Counting Day. I'm Ian Bunston. Welcome to Monday Matters. Welcome, Alison. Great to have you back again.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Ian.
Alison, the Great Vic Bike Ride. It's a huge event on Victoria's cycling calendar. How did you think the 25 event went? And what should riders be excited about looking forward to the 26 event?
Well, the feedback was absolutely tremendous. And I know that you did it with some friends and potentially some people on the podcast here. But we thought it was fabulous. The feedback has been astronomical. We changed the format up somewhat in that it used to be a 9-day ride where we'd travel and you'd pack up your tent every single night. You'd have to get up in the morning, pack your tent up, have some breakfast, get on the road, do your ride, then at the end of the day, do it all again. And the feedback was they'd like a bit of a shift up. So we changed it last year and we pretty much had a concept of 5 days straight riding instead of any rest days. And then we travel and stay 2 nights in a place and do a beautiful loop ride. So I'm interested to hear from you the feedback on that. But we do send out a survey, and there's one big measure in a survey that people love to hear on the events, and it's called the NPS, which is the Net Promoter Score. And it pretty much is a question that says, hey, would you recommend the ride to your friends? And you need to get a 9 or a 10 to get a positive number. So 9, a person has rated it out of 10, 9 or 10. And the NPS went from something like 30 the year prior to 70. So we're taking that as a big win that people really like the shift in the format. So I'm really interested to hear if anyone went on it, if they felt the same as well.
Mm. And why should we be excited about the event coming up later this year in November? Because it sounds like it's going to be a great course that's going to be ridden on.
Yeah, so we're going to the Goldfields this year and it'll be wonderful. And they're absolutely thrilled to have us. So when towns are thrilled to have us, it's a great thing because the Great Vic is part of a big experience because it is a traveling bike riding holiday. So much of it is about the experience you have in the towns and communities. And there's nothing better than when a town goes all out. Like often they put decorations or bikes, they put fates on, the pubs do music. It's a real celebration and it's just happy. It's a happy place to be there. So we're thrilled. The Goldfields is going to be great. We're starting in Bendigo, which they're really welcoming us because, they love bike riding up there. They don't have as many events up there anymore, particularly for bike riding. And then we'll travel across to Castlemaine. And I have been told it's Castlemaine, not Castlemaine. But yeah, so we'll be 2 nights in Castlemaine. And there's so much to do and food, wine, arts, craft, entertainment. So it's going to be a beautiful place to go. So we'll travel to Castlemaine, then we'll have a beautiful loop ride and the day in the middle around the region. And then the next traveling place we'll be going to Trentham. So Trentham, again, another great town. All that region is just really invested in tourism and a great time. And the roads and the riding around there is really beautiful as well. And so on that second day, we'll have another loop ride. And there's options there on that loop ride too. You can do either a really long one, 100 kilometers that day, or a 50K option. And we did that last year and that got a lot of good feedback too, because by day 4, you might decide you might not want to ride as far, or you could choose not to ride as well if you wanted and enjoy the region too. Or you can take that big challenge and go the 100K. And then on the last day, we're going from Trentham through to Creswick. And that's where we'll finish the ride on that final day. So it's really looking forward to it. We feel like, you never know what the weather's going to be, but it's improving each year. So I think it must be due to the change in format. So we're hoping the Goldfields will be a fairly dry region, but really beautiful at that time too. So we're looking forward to it. So we hope that people can come along, and it's really a beautiful, safe community event.
And girls love him. I mean, you need to ask your producer later.
Just see if I can mute. There we go. That's all right. They'll edit that out. That's okay. Alison, the Great Vic Bike Ride, no, it really highlights how beautiful a state we live in. I mean, I've got my jersey top from 25 on today, and I'm looking forward to the 26. And I'm really looking that area up there, the Goldfields. It's going to be a magnificent ride. So that's in a brief nutshell, my feedback. So
Great.
I will.
We're thrilled to have you. And it's just such a lovely event. We're really losing these style of community events where you can come along by yourself and it's really safe and you're guaranteed to have a good time. You're going to meet lots of people. Come along as a young family, as a single, you can come along as well. We've had many marriages on the Great Vic. And or you could come along, if you're still riding in any form, and we charge e-bikes and things like that. So it's really just trying to make it accessible and to keep it going and having a beautiful, safe traveling holiday in our beautiful state.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in relation to that, the Back on Your Bike program that you run, a lot of adults would like to ride again, but feel pretty nervous and unsure. How does the Back on Your Bike help people to get the confidence back?
Yeah, Back on Your Bike is a program where it's simply that. It's bring along any bike that you've got, and we would have a couple of bikes too available. And I just mentioned too, e-bikes are a really big item at the moment, both in advocacy and also just riding it and getting on it for the first time. You might be a bit apprehensive. You don't really know how it operates. So it's really an environment where you come along and it's welcoming. We do it with anyone. We also do it with new Australians as well, which is a really fabulous initiative, and that's in Tasmania mainly, but we're definitely going to bring it to Victoria as well. And it's just a program where you come along during the week, you jump on your bike, and there's a few people there to help just build those confidence and skills again. But riding a bike, that's the wonderful thing. You never forget how to do it. I think it's just that first step, sometimes that threshold barrier of like, oh, I haven't been on my bike for a long time. So they're just sessions that you can come along and drop in and really just get that confidence back on the bike as well. And it's a great program, and people, what we find is meet each other and then generally go on and continue to ride. So it's a great program.
Alison, the Ride to School program. Now, we've got to always have a couple of principals on this program. I'm putting myself as an assistant principal previously. Why is Ride to School so important? And, what difference do you think that's making to kids?
Look, Ride to School is super important. In the 70s, you had 80% of kids and students riding and walking to school. A study just came out recently. 2/3 of kids are now getting driven to school. It's taken a complete flip, and that's in one generation. And I think we're all probably generally people here probably rode or walked to school, and it was something that you did. It was fun. It was freedom. It really provided kids independence, but also gave them a lot of life skills, right? And the fact that now in our lifestyle, parents are choosing to drive their kids to school really needs to change. So our Ride to School program now encompasses a whole heap of different programs. So we do bike ed. I mean, I think sometimes when people think of Ride to School, they think, oh, you teach kids how to ride a bike. Still, most kids do actually know how to ride a bike. Some don't, but they can pick it up pretty quickly. So there's definitely a bike ed component where we go out to schools and we teach the students and kids how to ride a bike. But we've got other programs, and these programs are really the behaviour change program. So one's called Open Streets, and this is based on a French program, and they've got safe streets for students. And there's been a bit on the news actually lately where Paris have converted 500 schools to these permanent safe streets. So what we do for Open Streets is we go to a primary school, and for 3 weeks, and it's just one day a week, so say it's a Tuesday, an hour before school and an hour after school, we actually, oh, sorry, my light's gone off. Hang on.
Don't worry, that's okay. We've got a good video editor.
There it is. Yeah, so an hour before school and an hour after school, what we do with the street there in the primary school is we open the street up for active travel for students, which means we actually close it down for cars. So where you now see at schools, which is in my mind quite crazy, right out the front of the school, a kiss and go sign where there's a line of cars out the front of any given school where they drop their kids off and move on. And then the next car drives up, drops their kid off, moves on like that, like a chain, like it's a congestion out the front of the primary school with the exhaust fumes and all of the rest. Instead, we traffic manage it, and instead there's cones and there's chalk and there's hula hoops and there's just a lot of fun on the street, and the kids get dropped off just up the block a bit, and it just transforms the whole street. The residents in the street, because you think, oh gosh, we're blocking off the residents, they love it. They think they come out of their gates and they're like, this street is usually full of cars at this time in the morning, and look at this, all the kids are playing. They've organised to come to school that day and to scoot, ride or walk. And the best thing about it is the parents are there. So we can talk to the parents about how important it is that their kids set up this daily habit of like exercising in the morning. And the teachers, the principals, you'll I hope support this, but kids who are traveling to school actively turn up to school ready to learn. They haven't been on their iPad in the car and kicked out at the doorstep. So that program is absolutely awesome. We love it. And then we do another series of programs under this Ride to School banner, and one's called active paths. And so what we do there is we literally get a big massive map of the area and sit down with all the students and co-design safe ways to get into their school. So the students will go around a big table and say, how'd you get to school? And the ones who rode or walked, you actually map their journey. And then when you map their journey, you find out which ways they go and which way is the safe way. And then we make a big map to say, here's the safe paths into school. And then what we do is we decal the paths. You might have seen them in some areas, but they're actually decals on the journey on the footpath. So then we have a big active celebration day. So all of the kids, get on their bikes and they take the safe paths into school, and that's a real game changer as well, because again you get to speak to the parents, and the parents are the ones really who need to change their routines to enable their kids to travel to school. You can teach them to ride a bike in school, but that doesn't necessarily move the dial. So that's a great one. And I don't know if you've seen the bike bus at all. The bike bus is a great concept where students kind of collect and kids collect each other on the way. And you probably did it back in the day. I remember I had my friend Fiona and my other friend Bianca. I lived furthest away from the primary school, so I'd start off riding and then I'd meet them and then meet the next one. And then, so that's the concept of the bike bus, or they do walking buses as well. So they collect them, but some bike buses are just amazing. Like they have a speaker and they play the music. And there's this guy in America, I think it's in Portland, and they even had Justin Bieber come on their bike bus because it's got so popular and he was playing in the town. So this Coach Balto called on Justin Bieber to turn up to the bike bus. Well, now I think every kid in the school basically joins in on this bike bus. So it's these fun activities that are going to make a change.
And I'm familiar with the walking bus, but yeah, the bike bus sounds fantastic. Um, I was also thinking as you were speaking, I swim with my son each Thursday morning down at the Fitzroy Pool, and when we're leaving there, I'd say it would be around 8, 8:15, 8:30. The number of folk who are riding bikes, families, all ages, it's just, young, old, and lovely to see the 2 or 3 children on the back of the bike. Sometimes at the pedestrian crossing there at Alexandra Parade, they can be banked up or queued up for maybe 30 to 40 people. It really is just great to see. Alison, I want to move to ride to work with things like congestion and commuting costs and all that type of thing. What do you think about people more riding to work, and maybe you're a person that rides to work each day? And how do you think employers can make it a bit easier for folk to do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I ride to work every day, and we have a very full bike rack here at Bicycle Network. And Ride to Work Day is something that was set up, I would want to say 27 years ago, by a person who became a senator, Janet Rice, and I've been catching up with her recently as well. She's since retired. She, on her first day of politics, federal politics, she rode up to Canberra from Melbourne, and then when she retired, she rode back again. So I've reconnected with her because she really started a great movement, and we spoke about it, and this is what we're at Bicycle Network. We've put our ride to work back in the strategy because it's not just a day, right? And really the key is, as you say, getting into employers and workplaces. And I think now, particularly since COVID had hit, workplaces are really wanting employees to come back into the workforce. We're definitely working at home is a thing now. And we have a policy here, or quite well, we want people to come in at least 3 days a week out of the 5. And employers are looking particularly for ways to get people back in, and riding to work is a great way to draw people to come in because people love it. When you're out there, this morning I came in around 7:30 and already the bike paths are pretty full. And you always chat to somebody on the way. You've got a break between your home, and it's the same as riding to school, right? You've got this space in between where you can think, you can set up for your day on the way in, and on the way home, shake off the day. And there's no better way of doing it. So we're really focused this year. We want to get a position up where that's their role, is actually to go into the workplaces and speak to particularly the HR, the health and wellbeing people, to just talk about the benefits, like get a beautiful presentation together about what people are doing internationally, all of the health benefits. We know that, particularly Australia, unfortunately, we're seeing real chronic diseases that can be prevented. We've got around 1.8 million Australians with diabetes. We've got about 500,000 pre-diabetic, and it's believed that around 1 million people are undiagnosed at the moment. And, that goes on to heart disease. And much of this can be prevented by setting up these healthy habits. It's a great time saver in that you're not commuting into work via a train or, sitting on your iPhone. You're actually riding your bike, so you're getting your exercise in as well. So we really want to get into workplaces and promote that, because who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah.
And you also feel wonderful. So the part of the presentation will be how, and we say to employers, really, you just need to set up that end of trip facility. We're getting better bikeways into workplaces, and we'll continue fighting for good infrastructure there. But it's about having a locker where you can store your stuff, so you can ride in your casual wear. You come in, you can have a shower, a locker, and a towel. And workplaces are providing this now, and a place to store your bike because, particularly bike and bike theft, you want to make sure your bike's safe. But most workplaces around are providing really good end of trip facilities, and some are like 7-star hotels. We went to a place the other day, and it's down the end of Collins Street, those towers. They've got like it is crazy. They've got absolutely everything in these end of trip facilities. And once you see them, you're like, wow, these need to be activated. So that's going to be our job, to get into workplaces and really encourage people to
Mm.
start riding their bikes in.
No, that's great. I'm a bit conscious of our time, but there's a few things I just want to touch on before we let you go. But the Veloway, which I've had a ride on, which is fabulous. Tell me what you think of it, connecting the western suburbs to the CBD.
Isn't it fantastic? And it's not just the Veloway. So if you're in Melbourne and you're riding, plan a trip to go there, because the Veloway is just an architectural delight. It's amazing what they've done there with the green structure and actually suspending it off the freeway and making use of space that didn't exist really. They created this 2.4 kilometre veloway that takes out 6 major intersections where we've seen fatalities and significant accidents, and particularly because it's trucks down there, right? It's on the dock. It's separating truck traffic from people who are actively travelling, and the existing bike path is still there and has been upgraded. But it's not just the Veloway. There's been a total of 14 kilometres of new bike paths that have been delivered through what is a major road project. So, it's kind of a bit like this, but we need to make sure that where these major projects are being rolled out, they're being developed, that there is, the facility for bike paths, for walking, for green space where people can enjoy. And that's what Bicycle Network has really worked on. So we've had a guy in here who has pretty much worked on that on average 2 days a week for 9 years. So he has sat on all of the tenders. He even met with some of the architects and the proposals. He rides every single detour. He goes on every single steering committee and just says, what about the bike infrastructure? What about the bike infrastructure? What about, because they're the kind of things that get cut as the project goes on. And particularly not just the Veloway, which is the central part of, what everybody sees. It's all of these other bike paths that have been delivered, the 14Ks, that now you can ride. The Federation Trail has now been completed after many years. There's about an extra 8 kilometres of that Federation Trail. And now I absolutely urge you to take a trip from, the city out to Werribee on the Federation Trail. Like, you're not stopping at all the streets. There's bridges over particularly the intersections, and those kind of projects cost a lot of money, and we're able to get that delivered off the back of what is quite an expensive road, but without that constant kind of representation, you don't know where you're going to end up. So that's the kind of thing Bicycle Network do, and often it goes unsung, and we do need to speak about it, because what that does is it gets people to encourage to ride it, and the more people riding it, that means we're going to get more infrastructure. So it's definitely a compounding effect there. So we're thrilled, absolutely thrilled by the Veloway, and it's a lot of fun. And we're seeing all kinds of people out there riding bikes. I'm seeing bikes with cobwebs, so I know they got them out of the garage just to ride the Veloway. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, no, it's spectacular. Alison, there's so many things we could chat about. But before I let you go, I've just got to ask you, and again, this is another thing that Bicycle Network are doing. Your counting day on March 3rd, and then the impact that can possibly have going forward for infrastructure.
Yeah, so 3rd of March, if anyone's keen to volunteer, I can send a link, and it's on our website anyway. You can sign up as a counter. So annually we have Super Tuesday, and it's called Super Tuesday. So it's Tuesday morning from 7 till 9 on the 3rd of March. And we literally count bikes at over 800 locations around Victoria. So we have counters there who look, and what we do there, it's quite special because you identify gender, so you can actually you get set up with a counting sheet in 15-minute increments, and you start at 7 a.m. and you count how many people are riding or scooting. So you mark in different boxes what people are doing, and then if it's an e-bike or not. Now they are tricky to identify, so we probably count less if anything, because a lot of e-bikes now are looking like just the batteries are tricky to see, right? So you're not necessarily sure. Around 11% of people we're finding now are commuting on an e-bike. So it's a big game changer, and they're fantastic. A correct e-bike, not an e-motorbike. Let's be clear on this. And they're wonderful. And what we really see is we've collected data over the years, over decades, and we are seeing an increase in ridership, particularly, in commuting, but we're also seeing things like where St Kilda Road, for example. I count St Kilda Road, and so I've been counting it since before there's been a protected bike path, and now I'm counting it with this protected bike path. And it was like what you were saying about Alexander Parade. Some traffic lights, I'm there going, oh my God, I'm counting 35 people in a traffic light cycle. So I'm very much like, oh, and that many are female, but you do see a skew change when the protection comes. You see an increase in female riders where there's a safe protected bike lane, and you see an increase in riders, which is absolutely awesome. So we can track that over the years and then take that as a case study to government to say, well, it's true. A safe, connected way into work means that more people ride bikes, and that's a wonderful thing to have.
Alison, we do have to finish up. Our time is gone. And can I just congratulate you on all that Bicycle Network Victoria is doing for bike riders in this state, and I mean it spreads to the rest of Australia as well. And might I say, the Great Vic Bike Ride, say putting aside all of the riding and the location, I have to say what really stood out to me was the sense of community connection. And in the marquee, and when you had the briefing time in the evening, and the way that people were just so together, so harmonious, and so on board and a part of the team. And you've created that. And so I want to, really congratulate you on that. I think it's absolutely marvelous, and we wish you well for the further work of Bicycle Network Victoria. It's been wonderful having you as your guest today.
Oh, look, it's so wonderful, and it's wonderful to be part of the community, and it's a privilege to have this role, and I am very proud to be in this role, and the team are wonderful, and we're really looking forward to delivering an incredible state election towards the end of November. So if anyone wants to volunteer and help out, we're really going to try and get out there and try and get a good state government elected who is into urban spaces, beautiful community, and that's what it's about. And we know that's what our members want, and that's what we know it makes a better place.
Thanks so much again for being our guest today at Monday Matters. Alison McCormack, CEO of Bicycle Network Victoria.
Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for listening too. Happy riding.
Thank you.